Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls,
along with our journeys as collectors. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Adventures in Collecting. We are back.
Hi.
Oh, there it is, with the nice little delay. Love the high energy.
Hey, Eric.
Dave's always bringing it.
Eric.
What's that, Dave?
Lead, bury, question mark?
Absolutely not. We are not burying the lead. As you know, when we have guests on, we do not bury the lead. So let's jump right in, right? So joining us today on the show is our friend and previous guest, Jonathan Cathey, CEO of The Loyal Subjects, and Kenneth Siemens, co-founder and chief curation officer at Think 3Fold's. Gentlemen, welcome to Adventures in Collecting.
What's up, dudes? And dude,
yeah, all of the whatever form of dude you choose to associate with. What's up?
Well, what up?
Thank you guys for joining us this evening. I'm really excited to talk to both of you. I have a ton of questions, and we actually have some questions a little bit later on from the Instagram followers. So we got some fun stuff prepared for you guys today.
Right on, man.
So,
no He-Man questions.
No He-Man questions. Yeah. No, but maybe a Wonder question or a Wonder Bread He-Man question might come up. You never know.
Hey, man, I'm doing that 7 grain style bread right now, so I don't have a lot of answers on the old Wonder Bread guy.
I've actually been eating that Dave's bread.
Dude,
I don't know if
Dave's bread is on point, man.
It is wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's like health bread, but it's not. My girlfriend is like really healthy. Is like, no, this is garbage. I'm like, I love it.
Yeah, and it's like the story. It's like an ex-con making bread. I'm into it.
Is that what it is? Dave is an ex-con?
I believe that's what it says on the packaging. I hope Dave doesn't come for me hard here, but I believe it says on the packaging that Dave is like a reformed convict who now makes bread.
Oh, that's rad. I just like how he has like a little guitar on the packaging. He's like jamming. He's like,
yeah.
Let me get you your 7 grains. I'm Dave.
7 grain Dave.
I just like how my niece, Eric's daughter, was just like, Uncle Dave makes bread, and I'm like, I don't make bread.
Then he's got
it would not be good if I tried.
I would say
to my niece, it's like Highlander. There can only be one Dave.
I would say Uncle Dave would, could pay for a lot of people's, new backyard pools then. So I think Dave's cranking, put it that way.
So Kenneth, before we jump into the meat of everything, we asked Jonathan this the last time he was on, and we ask all of our new guests, what are you currently collecting?
That's a fun question. So my favorite part of collecting is the hunt. So, once you get it, you're like, oh, I got it. So I like to go for things that are no longer in print or available. So I'm kind of rebuilding my youth, like through collecting like old packaging and stuff from old toys. And I also have kids, so I buy versions of them so my kids can play with them. So I'm really into, sorry to bring He-Man back up. I'm really big into the He-Man. So I'll buy like an old original, like in package Mattel, but then I'll go and buy like a Mondo giant Skeletor for myself, right? So I kind of do the parallel collecting. Here's one for you, and here's a big one for me. But it's very much like based in a lot of the stuff that I grew up with, like the old Kenner stuff and the old, like Mask and things like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's all stuff from our youth. Have you been diving into the Origins line at all? That's been floating around.
I have. Yes, I have. I have not decided what I'm going to do with them yet, though. Like I've got them. I really want to open them and play with them with my kids, but at the same time, I'm like, maybe not yet.
It's been super, super tense. So like Dave was big into He-Man.
Yeah, for sure. He-Man was one of my go-tos when I was younger.
So I kind of got some of them as like, I don't want to say hand-me-down toys, but like I played, there's 7 years between us, so I played with the He-Man stuff like after Dave had moved on from it. But there's something about seeing those like super retro cards back on like pegs. So like, there has been a couple times where I've been like, maybe I'll just get He-Man and Skeletor. But then like thinking the can of worms that would
Right.
that would open, as like they start to put out the rest of the figures. It's a cool line.
Yeah. See, I have so many versions of Merman. Like I just love Merman. Like for some reason he's my go-to. And then and then when you have Merman, then you also need like Trapjaw and Triclops and like so it just keeps going.
You need Stinkor. I had Stinkor when I was a kid in a baggie, so I was even doing the baggies back then for putting figures in, but that was just so he didn't make the other figures smell.
Yes. Yes, and actually after about 30 years, Mossman doesn't smell very good either.
Oh yeah, because he was blocked. Yeah.
Yeah, I was disappointed though. I saw Panther recently on the shelves, and I was like, he's not.
Yeah,
flocked.
That's true.
What the flock?
Exactly.
What the flock? It is an expensive, pain in the butt process. Let me tell you, from a manufacturer, and it's insane. So it's basically like filling a room with microparticles. It's like a crazy, crazy process. I know people love flocked, and they love sort of those really sort of metallic feels. But the process to make that stuff is insane.
So you're telling me when we did Gizmo, you filled a room with fur and just ran through it, holding like
kind of, yeah.
Every single one that came out.
It's like furry glue particulate that just comes flying out of a gun, essentially.
Well, it's one of the big three variants, right? You have flocked, glow in the dark, and vac metal, right? Those are the three key variants in any toy line.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like metallic PMS calls are one thing, but like electroplating, that's sort of a crazy process as well. So I'm not surprised that Mattel, it's really price sensitive, but I'm not surprised that they didn't do that. I'm sure they'll have something for Comic-Con that could be, a little bit more realized like that. But flocking in the 80s, I mean, they flocked everything, man. They flocked socks. And they flocked your fingernails, man. Flocking was like a big deal, but now maybe not so much. Only the loyal subjects does it.
Everyone else can go flock themselves, right? That's basically what you're saying.
The punniness is so up my alley right now.
Flocked flock of seagulls.
Yep.
Now there's a variant toy. Somebody's got to make a flocked version of the flock of seagulls.
Well, we might be dumb enough to make that toy, so just
Oh man! All right, so Kenneth, tell us a little bit about you got into the fact that you're kind of rebuilding your childhood through the collection that you're working on now. But tell us a little bit about your history with toys professionally and what Think 3Fold and Collection Obsession is doing right now.
My history with toys. Well, I played with toys forever. But no, so I actually used to work at Walmart. I was the director of design for in-store. So I worked with a lot of the buyers on what it meant to like turn the store into specific looks and what the department looked like, and kind of helped them do the best that they could do, like from a merchandising standpoint. And I also worked very closely with a lot of the movie studios when it came to time for them to kind of try and do big entertainment programs. I did that for a number of years, got really kind of into the toy and the entertainment and the electronics and those kind of spaces, just because I love the product, so I just naturally gravitated to it. Then a few years back, left to kind of start my own thing, take all the rules that I'd written like as director of design and kind of threw them out the window and said, I'm going to start a creative agency and do this all on my own. Like, now that I wrote them, let's break them. And then tried that for a few years. And then we kind of evolved into what became Think 3Fold, which is really kind of where the gaps were from the creative side, trying to come up with these really cool ideas. I realized the ideas fell apart when there just wasn't really, the items weren't strong enough to support it, right? Like when you have this cool idea around like Avengers or something, and then the items are just not exciting or new or fresh. And then so the idea was let's fill those gaps from a product standpoint and start to kind of build the whole program from the product up, and what that looks like. And then that recently we launched collectionobsession.com, and then also we have a tag, the app Collection Obsession, that we use to talk to people. So, for the first about year of our life, we were really just focused on getting the distribution right and making sure that the right items were in front of people. But now we have kind of this voice where we can say, hey, guess this, see this cool thing that we're actually working on. So it's super fun to kind of see it finally that place. We can start really talking about the cool, fun stuff that we're building.
So you talked about getting stuff in front of people's eyes. Talking about the collectible section at Walmart, there's a lot of options there, a lot of fun variety of options. How do you go about curating what's stocked there?
Yeah, so I get to play with a lot of toys to find out like what's right, but it's really about so one way, kind of the mentality for how that department comes together is we realize it's a huge responsibility to bring collectibles into Walmart, because, and more so than we even expected as last year happened, right? So as a lot of the smaller shops kind of shuttered and had a hard time kind of making it through, Walmart became a de facto destination for a lot of these folks that really wanted to keep finding those collectibles and the cool things that they love. So we see it as a huge responsibility to make sure that we really are representing the right brands and the fans, and then the right licenses. So I spend a lot of time kind of looking at what everyone is doing, and then kind of going a couple levels down to really make it so there's this deep collectability to it. So when we talk about when I talk about from a license standpoint, instead of just another Jason or just another Freddy, we'll look at maybe like a Jeepers Creepers or a Killer Clowns or something like that, to kind of really broaden the expectation of what you would find at a Walmart. Because there's two ways that we approach kind of how the space comes together. So we want it to be a destination for people who are already engaged in brands like Loyal Subjects, to say, hey, I can come here and I can get the latest and greatest thing. But then being Walmart and having the huge traffic, we also want to basically surprise people with their next obsession, right? Like, so when they come by and say, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this existed, but now I need all of it, right? So it's really kind of introducing people to their new obsession. And that's kind of the positioning of all the items that are in there. So we try not to have just the top level, like the big brand, the big licenses and the big brands. We're really trying hard to keep it broad, and then and keep it exciting and new, right?
Yeah, and I mean, there's clearly like a differentiating factor between that collectible section and the regular toy aisle, because the stuff that's in that section, from the best action figures to Deadpool's head to the fig pins and the Mego figures and so on and so forth. Like, there's definitely stuff there that like kids can enjoy, and stuff that younger audiences can certainly have fun with. But at the same time, it feels different. It's not the toy aisle. You're not going to find the Roblox and that kind of stuff there. You're finding stuff that does kind of serve a little bit of a niche. But I get what you're saying. It kind of toes the line between being broad, but also like being broad, but with a narrow focus.
Yeah, we want it to be accessible, but we want that brand engagement, right? So we're looking for those items that really bring a brand to life, as opposed to what we often call label slaps, right? It's very much looking for something that understands what it's doing and then understands why a collector would want it and then want more of it. We're really, really conscious of the difference between what belongs in toys and what belongs in collectibles. We spend a lot of time kind of on that topic just to make sure that what we are placing is meant for that kind of that adult collector that's really looking to kind of get deeper into a brand, whether that brand is, like I said, Loyal Subjects or Friday the 13th, right?
So how did the partnership between you guys and Loyal Subjects come about?
So we there was a rep agency that was had Jonathan in town in Bentonville, Arkansas, which is where Walmart is, and he was in town doing a pitch to the Walmart toy buyer, and they just swung him by and said, "Hey, you guys should talk," and that was really it. I don't think there was any really preamble or anything like that. And then this was back when I was still in the creative agency side. We worked with him on kind of putting some visuals behind some lines that he was pitching, and then from there it just kind of snowballed.
But yeah, if I could add a little bit to that story, it's like, it reminds me of the band days when, when I was a kid, I was going to Santa Monica City College and, just a little young punk. And Mikey Eisinger from Incubus was going there. And then all these other guys were going there. And actually Mickey, the bass player of what became the band Maroon 5, he was going there. And it's just one of those things where you just like meet like-minded people and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's start a band. Okay, yeah. Let's play. All right, let's do other stuff, So there was that kind of vibe with Kenneth and team when I met him, where it's like, okay, kindred spirits. These guys are awesome. They totally know what's up, and it's good to jam with them. So it's when you're creatives, you just kind of know that vibe when you see it and you meet the people, and you're like, yeah, I totally want to go on this journey with you.
I love that analogy because I've been in and out of bands since I was in my teens, and I get that kind of vibe from the toy community in general. Like, just sending a DM to somebody and being like, hey, I really like what you're doing. Like, let's talk about it more. Pretty much everybody is like, sure, let's do that. And it does kind of have that feeling of like, like you're sitting in on somebody else's session. It is a great aspect to this community. And I love that it kind of exists at the top, like where the toys are actually being made and distributed, all the way down to like, the people like us who are sitting in our attics and talking about the stuff that you guys are making. So it's really cool to hear that is that's part of the culture there too.
Yeah, everything starts with, energy and vision and, being on the same page and a willingness to explore. So that's where all the magic starts from. Like not only is Kenneth an extraordinarily talented creative, he also can dig deep down. Like, he can get layers deep on, really answering the questions of why does this stuff exist, or, why does it deserve to exist? So, he brings that whole other sort of scope into play too, which is an extraordinary talent. So when you meet smart, talented people, you try to pretend you're as smart and talented as they are, and then you hang on for dear life.
Fake it until you make it, right? That's what it's always been.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges that that has been kind of present not only through the pandemic, but really pre-pandemic. We've mentioned Walmart now several times, but we're a few years out now having no dedicated toy stores,
right.
And the community has had a lot of feedback about how stores like Walmart and Target handle, both toys and collectibles. And, with you guys being so involved in kind of the larger scope of things, how are you dealing with the challenges of not having a dedicated toy store to turn to?
I could answer. I hope that things like KB and Toys R Us come back, just because they're giant sort of laboratories for toy. You get a lot of just off the wall, sort of wild ideas in there. And I think that's really good for the industry. And there's just so much shelf space that you can make things that, are the size of an elephant down to an ant, right? So it's just this, crazy Imaginarium, goes big or small as you want to. And these sort of like those specialty, toy only stores could support that. Let's say where toys exist right now, since the standalone toy stores kind of, disappeared, but I think it's going to make a return. I think Toys R Us has such goodwill. I feel like there's a possibility it will return. And it sounds like some investment group did buy into resurrecting this. So we'll see what happens. I guess we all have to stay, glued. But we're Walmart, or let's say Target or Hot Topic or any of these other stores, they're really a multi-purpose store, with some toy shelves. So, which is also awesome, because if you get on those shelves, that means you did something pretty dang cool. Like, you basically got on an NBA team and the squad's only 12 players.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It is like a unicorn to get to the store. So you're on to something when you get to those stores, which is awesome. But like the kid inside of me, it would be all over having that. Toys R Us wasn't really my store as a kid, though. KB was my store.
Same.
Yeah,
we were big KB kids.
Yeah.
Well,
so it'd be cool, man. But so, Kenneth, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say from my side, like, one of our biggest challenges being in this position with Walmart is convincing Walmart to take this department and run it like a boutique versus how it runs like the toy department, right? Like, so it's a completely different model how a mass retailer runs toys versus how we are managing and run this collectibles space, in the way that we're putting the assortments together, how everything works on the shelf, how there's new items coming in fresh waves, as opposed to like you have an item that has to live there for 6 months and it's just like, 50,000 units of Casey Jones, right? Like, so it's really, I think that's part of that our answer to that challenge is bringing that mentality and that thinking of what people are looking for in the boutiques into Walmart. And it's unexpected, and it's getting a lot of really good reception even within Walmart, which is not what we expected when we started it. So it's very that's kind of how we're because, like I said before, like we just see it as a huge responsibility, right? Like, we owe it to these people who collect and want to fall in love with the new favorite thing, to bring something unexpected and fun to life.
I gotta imagine, like, some of those original conversations have to be challenging, right? Like to your point, the store's purpose, like, they sell necessities, like they sell toilet paper and sheets and food and
clothes,
diapers,
shoes,
and like all of the things that are that people need on a daily basis. And it's like, now let me tell you about these 6-inch action figures that I have.
Right. Well,
or let me tell you about these enamel pins that look like action figures.
Right. Well, and what's really fun is, so not only do we, so there's like what we call this, when you walk in the store and you see that section, that's kind of what we call the everyday space. But what we also do is create these like storytelling moments that are features, right? So we put together these crazy ideas, and then we pull like product themes around it. And what's really funny to that point of like how the conversations go, to earn that, we have to convince like Walmart that it's worth more for us to put collectibles on there than for them to put like printer paper or another TV, right? Yeah. So it's really interesting, and we've been able to do that pretty consistently. So we've had some really fun and crazy themes go in through the year. And we're just doing basically monthly. There's just something fresh and new happening in those features.
I mean, to that point, guys, one of our proudest moments of our entire career was being able to sell products in a Walmart. I mean, it literally is like being picked on an NBA team. That was one of our major career defining moments of, oh my gosh, they're going to give us a shot. They think our stuff is as good as the stuff that's next to it. And, you're talking about the biggest brands in the world.
Mm-hmm. And then you're everywhere.
Yeah. People are like, when we first introduce ourselves, they're like, well, what do you do? Well, we put stuff in about 3,900 stores. So that's a pretty good number.
Totally. Yeah, I know it's amazing, but again, it's aligning with that spirit of, okay, how do we make great experiences and how do we tell the story? And as Kenneth was saying, it's like, how do you get all those different layers, not just the top layer of the skin, but all the way to the heart.
Right.
And that's the most important. So the Little Subjects has always cut our teeth on storytelling and really kind of being true to the properties that we're, being trusted with, procuring and telling that story succinctly. So our whole identity has always been, okay, these are great characters, these are great worlds, these are great stories, and we want to tell it as authentic as possible, and then connect people close enough so they start telling their own stories, and then their imagination takes over. So when a customer's imagination sort of intercepts the idea, and then it really becomes their thing, that's when it works.
That's funny. I love that, because one of my, we see a lot of things, right? Like we see a lot of people come in with stuff, and it's like, if you have to write the word collectible on your product, it's probably not collectible.
Totally.
It's like, trust us, this is collectible. Limited edition of 28,000.
Yeah, totally.
Pay attention to me.
But collectibles have this weird range now. I think Funko just blew it out of the water, right? So it's like, it does seem that people are diving in on an edition of 50,000 as much as they are on some of these other, edition sizes. It seems like that idea has stretched. And collectability or collectibles to me is really about authenticity at this point, So it's not such, and Kenneth, you can correct me if you think otherwise, but it's not so much like go in the backyard and beat 'em up, Johnny kind of stuff, but it's like, does that tell that story authentic? Like, you could see that energy. You could see it from NECA in some of the products they're doing and how they're really drawing fans in. They seem to be telling that story really in an authentic manner.
And I think too, it has to do with the intellectual property, with the actual thing. Because like now, people are taking things that you would previously think like would not be toyetic in any way, shape, or form, or would not be brave enough to try to make toys for it. We used this example, the last time you were on, man, which is like, I can't believe it's 2020 and I can buy brand new Cowboy Bebop figures. like it's just one of those things where it's like, I saw those pictures, and before, and when I saw the renders of them at that moment, I was like, I don't care. I need both of those figures, and then please make the rest of them, because it's just one of those things where you grab these brands and these or not even brands, these films, these TV shows, these mangas, comic books, whatever it is, and they have, like, we have relationships with that material, and to get to interact with them through another medium, I think that too lends to the collectability of something. Like Dave, like, you're huge on the Office Pops.
Well, I'll even go further is to say like, yeah, I mean, Office Pops for sure, but even from like, like what you were talking about with the Cowboy Bebop stuff, like I have a Lightning figure in 2021, and it's amazing, and I absolutely
cool. I mean, a lot of that, we build the product and we put our entire love, blood, sweat, and effort into this to make it as absolutely awesome as we can. But you got to give Kenneth and team a lot of credit for having that vision of being like, this deserves to live. I mean, it's really Think 3Fold that looked at Big Trouble in Little China and said, yeah, this is awesome. Let's do this, or even Cowboy Bebop of, this is a good SKU. Let's do this. So, it really is truly a partnership of, creative development, product development, and then the retail development. So it's, it really is it's truly a giant team effort. It truly is. It's insane. Like everybody is swimming or rowing in the same direction. Everybody, decides that it deserves to live and breathe. So, there's a lot of vision that is sort of shared by everybody that makes it a decision and then allows, essentially you could walk into a Walmart and be like, yeah, dude, Lightning from
Not, and it's like one of those things too, where it's like not Kurt Russell, not Lopan, right. Lightning, like
totally.
Yeah, like you'd expect Jack Burton, but like I walked into Walmart and saw Lightning. My girlfriend was with me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I need this. This is what I was talking about."
That was a collaborative choice. Yeah, I mean, Kenneth has as much weight on that choice as we do.
Yeah. So speaking of choices,
these are two that are awesome.
Let's talk about flipping the idea of Easter eggs into xenomorphs.
And Kenneth's fingerprints are all over that one.
and then of course the WWE Garbage Pail Kids. So let's talk a little bit about these.
Well, I think Kenneth should lead that one because both these are Kenneth's brain children essentially. We execute them, but it's really his vision on this.
Yeah, they've been a ton of fun. The Easter eggs have been amazing. It was kind of one of those things like, what if we did this? And it just kept going. And then we're like, oh, we're doing this. And it was just a ton of fun. Like, as we were looking at, so when I was talking about kind of, we put together these feature things monthly, right? So we were working on what we would do around Easter, right? And so I said, well, what's the pop culture? What's the slightly irreverent skew on Easter that we could do? Because that's kind of what we do when we're pulling these themes together that are holiday based. So, the first thing that came to mind as we were looking at it, I was like, okay, there's alien eggs. I'm a huge Alien fan, right? And I thought, what if we turn these into these crazy Easter eggs, and started talking to Jonathan and the team, and they just kind of ran with it and came back with these amazing Dayglow Easter eggs with these hyper detailed, like miniature army men, xenomorphs and facehuggers and chest bursters and then to top it off, they had the little deco wrap on it that had the dots and the stripes, and I mean they were perfect. Like I can imagine people putting them out for their kids, and their kids like screaming in terror as they found out that it's chocolate.
On Easter, no one can hear you scream.
It's right. And then we tried really, really hard to get the outer wrap. We sold them in 4-packs, and we tried really hard to get on the outer wrap and put bunny ears on the xenomorph, but not get that approved, unfortunately.
We so tried to sneak that past.
They even rendered it, and I still have that, so I will save that.
They were okay with the Dayglow, but the bunny ears
they were
totally
too far. Cool. They were totally cool with selling aliens at Easter. And it's really awesome. Just because, I mean, and it's been super successful. Like people have loved it. And, the timing of it's really fun because, now we have Alien Day coming up. So maybe we can turn that into a bug hunt instead of an Easter egg hunt, right? Like
totally.
Create a whole new thing around Alien Day with these.
You make them all like grimy, creepy crawler colors, like browns and greens and like gross yellows.
You just lose them in your yard.
Just become yard fixtures. I mean, the whole idea of it being loud was kind of, harkens back to 80s toys about, how loud they are.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like, and then we wanted to make them as like cool army men so you could actually set them up on your desk and things like that. But yeah, that was a great collaborative, sort of brainchild or brain trust, and super fun. The whole idea, it's, this isn't your average Easter bunny. It's essentially a virus that's going to rip you. and hey, little kids, what's inside, Oh, a face hugger? Gee, Dad.
Perfect. It's perfect. So what about the kind of resurgence here of Garbage Pail Kids? Like we're big WWE fans here. Like it's no secret we're big wrestling fans here. But how did you guys get the Garbage Pail Kids involved?
That's another brainchild between Kenneth and Tops. I mean, total mind meld.
Yeah, so I'm a huge Garbage Pail Kid fan. Like I have been ever since, I had the collection as a kid and, had teachers tell me to stop sharing it with other kids. So it's just one of those brands that I've always loved. I've been like a little bit of like, I wouldn't say like I love it like in the closet because I'd wear t-shirts and stuff with it on all the time. And I actually met the guy who runs the license for Tops at licensing show one year because I was wearing a Garbage Pail Kid shirt at licensing show, and he sat behind me in one of the meetings, and he pulled me aside. He's like, "Hey, can I get a picture of you with your t-shirt?" So we just kind of started talking, and we hit it off, and as we just kept talking about what Garbage Pail Kids is, where it's going, and stuff like that. And then as we were working on, once again, one of those feature programs, we were working on a WWE one, and there just wasn't enough product to make the story work, right? Like, so there just wasn't enough to pull together and say, okay, this is worth a feature. So, Tops does mashups of pop culture. Like that's one of the things that they're really good at with Garbage Pail Kids. So like they even did like Bernie Sanders and mittens as a Garbage Pail Kid, just like, so they are on the ball. And so I looked and I was like, hey, you guys have WWE. Like, what if we turned these into figures? Because there hasn't been a ton of 3D of the Garbage Pail Kids. Funko's done it. They've done their mystery minis of it. And then, there were some really crappy ones back in the 80s that were the single colors. And then, there was, I think Super 7 did one. They may be doing more. But this is the first that's really what I call a true to form recreation of what's coming out of that art. Yeah. And so, basically talked to Tops and said, hey, we have a partner that we'd like you to work with. And introduce them to loyal subjects. And I think they already had the WWE license, which helps because it's a co-licensed thing. And then we just kind of went to town, and the sculpts they've done are just amazing. They're exactly what I was looking for. I'm very, very picky on these, right? Like, so this is, like Jonathan said, this is my baby when it comes to like creating a thing. It's like something I've never seen and always wanted. So I'm really excited to see how they came to life. And I love that we started with the WWE, and then, the potential for that mashup opportunity is huge to kind of do stuff that's still really relevant, but also it's cute and ugly and gross and all the things that you want. Right. And then even the core Garbage Pail Kids, we can have a ton of fun with those as well. So it's got a lot of legs.
Yeah, and they look like they leapt right out of the cards too. They really do.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I am very, very proud of how these came out, and it's a really fun one. Like, you talk about the conversations with Walmart, and we love our lead buyer, and it's really fun showing him stuff like this because there's an element of like, what? What is this? And he got this one so quickly. It was amazing. Like, I expected there to be so much more of a struggle with this, and he's like, "Oh no, I get it." And so it's really exciting. That it's just a really exciting one to come to life.
Yeah, just to extrapolate on them popping out of the card. Yeah, that was Kenneth's concept. It's like, hey, how do we put them on a base with that classic ribbon with that font, and then there's a background. And the idea was like they were essentially popping out of the card. So it was, for us, super fun to execute on that. But yeah, this the mind meld that Kenneth has with Topps. It's like E.T. and Elliot, dude. They are lost.
Yeah, definitely more to come in that line.
For sure.
Yeah, those are really cool. Like, as a wrestling fan, I'm looking forward to seeing those in real life. Now, Jonathan, we talked to you about Best Action last time, and it was just as Best Action was launching. How's the line doing so far?
It's doing great, man. It's like there's always this like hesitancy with your core audience of, oh my God, they're doing something new. Oh my God, the company's going to be destroyed. But for us, action figure is like the holy grail. It's obviously something we grew up with as kids, and something we wanted to do, and something that we had a core competency in. And we wanted to do something that was like our own creation. So in our own scale, our own world, we always use that idea of Super Smash Brothers, of just like putting a lot of rad characters in a world. Like, on my desk right now, Ace Frehley's jamming out with Slash, Sauron's the lead singer, and Spike Spiegel pointing a gun at something. That like exists on my desk right now, and it makes total sense. So that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be this sort of like, great mashup world of action figures all on the same scale. So we're extraordinarily proud of it, and the response has been insane. Definitely at retail, it's been cranking. Thanks to the customers, and thanks for I think there's a little bit wider net for this a little bit. So it's like you could walk into a Walmart and see Slash and be like, yeah, I love Slash. This is awesome. In the way that we've always put it, it's like they're $15.96 or something on shelf. Like, go in, buy an action figure or a slice of pizza and leave. Like, that's a pretty good self date.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, we are the ultimate self date product. So, but it's going excellent. We have a lot of lines, a lot of characters, a lot of figures, lined up. Sales are excellent, and people are really connecting to it. So, extraordinarily proud. And again, it's really an effort of just so many people. Our creative team, our sculpting team, our team in China, they kick so much ass, and I'm literally humbled every day that I get to work with these people. I'm always absolutely inspired by everybody that is Team TLS in the TLS ecosystem. I mean, again, it's, I oftentimes say I'm the least talented guy in the room. So I'm just like, keeping my head down, making sure nobody notices.
So the last time you were on, we had discussed kind of a little bit of the future for the line. You had mentioned, Aang from The Last Airbender, and that Ace Frehley was coming, and we've now and Buffy and Angel, and we've now seen those figures. We're starting to see pictures of them. We saw the shots that the Loyal Subjects posted on Instagram. And then we saw, of course, those awesome renders for the I can't believe, again, put this into the category of the I can't believe we're getting this figure this year. Beetlejuice, the animated series, which also not only can't believe we're getting the figures this year, but I looked it up and I couldn't believe that this is the first time there has been animated series Beetlejuice figures.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And then of course, the once again wildly popular, never goes away Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures.
Yeah.
When can we actually expect to see those start to hit?
Those are hitting at Walmart.
So those will be part of one. Those should launch with one of our features, I believe, in July.
Yeah,
we have a feature going into stores that's themed around Saturday morning cartoons. So awesome. That's the storytelling behind that one, and they are definitely a lead in that.
Dude, they're so rad. The Beetlejuice figures,
Beetlejuice are amazing. Those sculpts they're just amazing. Yeah.
One can never have, if you are a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, one can never have enough Ninja Turtles, and it's age agnostic. Like I just got for Easter for my daughter, who will be 6 in September. I got her that Playmates movie set that has the 4 movie turtles, Super Shredder and Splinter. That's and like cool. We were sitting there busting open like the weapons tree, and like I'm going over all the stuff with her, and she absolutely loves it. And it's so now cool. Is like a permanent staple. So like the fact that there will be, smaller animated turtles out there, that sold. It's perfect. And then, forget it, Beetlejuice. It's just I can't believe that those figures are going to exist, and I can't wait to see them in person.
Oh man!
And like the Gremlins too.
Dude, the Gremlins are sitting on my desk right now. Actually, one of the guys that works with the little subjects in Kenneth's team, actually, it's a really good friend of Kenneth. He's a badass skater, and I was just teasing him that Stripe was like stealing his curbs. He's encroaching on his territory. He needs to step up. Yeah, but it's funny. He has this awesome video of him just shredding it, and he sent me this video, and he's like, "Yeah, I skate," and I was like, "Okay, let's check it out." And he's just like, handrail, double kickflip, 10 stairs. I'm like, oh my god!
but can he skate while holding a chainsaw? That's the real question.
His hands are like an important part of his job. But if anybody can pull it off, I bet he could.
So we've seen the recent past and the present for Best Action. What's next after this?
Best Action is kind of like a never-ending story, right? It's everything that releases is ...
So you're making Falcor, is what you're saying? It's a never-ending
story.
Best Action Falcor.
Yeah. There's got to be some rights problem with that because there's zero stuff out there on it. I'm sure there's something wonky going on in that world. But yeah, the Falcor would be totally welcome in the Best Action universe. But we're also working on some really fun, like lower price point items that are really cute and fun. Obviously, we have our fashion doll line that is hitting retail, and that one's I couldn't be more proud of that. It's all about self-empowerment, love, acceptance, and affirmations, positive thinking. It's really what I would consider sort of our swan song and our passion play. And it's called For Keeps, and extraordinarily proud of that line. And then, so we keep building. We keep on doing these, Kenneth is so filled with these brilliant ideas. So it's like, we try to execute on some of his concepts that he brings to the table. And then, we got this really cool thing cooking that is like kind of like a vintage play set, that's awesome. You guys will definitely hear more about that as we get closer, but it's definitely a license that you guys will love.
Awesome.
It's so killer, and probably in about a couple months, hopefully we can start leaking some info on it. But yeah, there's a lot of Garbage Pail kid figures that are in the pipeline right now. I mean, it's just about growing the experience and telling the story, and trying to bring people into our world fun and pop culture and enthusiasm and passion and play. And, we always encourage our collectors to play, tell your own stories, flex your imagination. It's okay. Just because you're 35 to 50 doesn't mean that, you're dead. I mean, it's okay to play,
I'm glad to hear I am still living.
Yeah, me too.
But there's this idea that, we encourage people to be as silly and immature and awesome as humanly possible. So, if your wife catches you back in the backyard in the sand pit, doing pew pew noise, don't be embarrassed. Be like, hell yeah, I'm doing that.
Oh, you mean when I was lighting things on fire in my backyard to have actual fire in photos with dragons that I was taking a few weeks ago?
Yeah, exactly. Just make sure you have a fire extinguisher in there.
Yep. Had some water. We were good. It was a nice wet day, so I didn't have to worry about any New Jersey brush fires. I wasn't gonna cause any problems. We were good. It was good. It was controlled.
Love it, dude. Love it.
So this portion of our call, before we wrap things up, we'd like to throw it out to our Instagram followers. We posted a story asking if anyone had any questions, and we have a few. So would you care for some surprise questions?
Yeah, throw them.
All right. So Dave, do you want to do the first one?
Yes. I am always terrible at reading the handles, but it looks like @CodyMedaw asks, are there plans for more Garbage Pail Kids WWE figures? And I know we briefly mentioned this before.
Yeah, that question goes to Kenneth.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be more Garbage Pail Kids, and there will probably be more WWE. It might not be the next thing that comes out of GPK, but it's definitely something we want to revisit.
Here, I'll rephrase that even a little bit. So the first four are all legends. Do you see any thoughts for any more modern WWE?
I would say if you look up and see what cards Topps has already done wrestlers on, that's probably a good hint at what might come.
Yeah.
Good call, Dave. That was a good call.
Thank you.
All right, next one. So this one is multiple people have asked this. Will we see some of the Wave 1, the early Best Action figures? Will they be made available again in the future? So I think people are asking for the Slashes and Gene Simmons and some of the Naruto figures. Will they be made available again in the future?
Yeah, I mean we have a full music peg that's going into Walmart where it's a little more diverse. We updated Slash. We put a wallet chain on him, his bandana, and we actually he comes with 4 different colorways of his guitar, which there's another reason to go hunt Slash. It's pretty badass. And then Ace Frehley's now in the mix. He has 2 guitars that he comes with. It's such a beautiful figure. And then, filling in a little bit later in about a couple months is Ozzy and some other stuff. But yeah, Walmart's the spot. Go check it out. And then for Spike Spiegel, we updated him. We updated his hair sculpt and we put in 2 heads. So you have 2 separate portraits that you can use. And there's going to be some of that in the reprint on the Walmart. But, the kind of idea is if it's, as long as people are buying it and people are loving it, we'll keep making it.
Awesome.
At Super Game Boy ADV asks, if you could work with one property that you haven't worked with yet, what would it be?
Kenneth, go for it.
Oh, I thought that was for you. Oh,
it could be for both of you.
Okay,
it could be an answer from both of you.
Okay,
I'll do my wish list. You do your wish list first.
I'm going to go. I want to get some stuff out of some horror vaults, right? So I want a line of figures from the original Creepshow movie.
That'd be rad.
Okay, I'm on board.
I want my cake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Day,
or Ted Danson and Leslie Nielsen.
Even Leslie Nielsen just in the sand. I think, that would be my box set collection that I want.
I think that's cool. I dig that. Man, there's so many great stories that have been told, through the Marvel, the DC universe, for everything. What we've done so many. We've done like 71 licenses. We've never done Star Wars. That would be cool, just because I'm a Star Wars fan. I know there's a quadrillion pieces of Star Wars merchandise out there, but whatever. I was stoked on Kiss. It just like making Kiss figures. I actually posted on my personal Facebook page like last week. I was like, yeah, I can't believe I make Kiss figures. It's pretty rad.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And we went over this last time, but we're huge Kiss fans. So
yeah, those are ones I'm looking forward to getting.
Yeah,
Gene, cool. Gene still has not hit here in New Jersey. We have not been able to find our demon.
Yeah, I was gonna say the demon's the one with the chainmail, right?
Yeah.
That sculpt is amazing. Like the detail on that thing is insane.
Dude, our sculpt team they're badass.
They're
total kudos to those guys. I own like 20 bottles of champagne. They're awesome. But yeah, now we have to, we're kind of toying with the idea. It's like, do we even make the Fox even?
Oh,
exactly.
With the furry shoulders and everything. Eric Carr needs some love, man.
He does.
There's only been one.
Totally, I'm with you.
There was the one McFarlane. That was
I draw the line, though. I will not get a Vinnie Vincent figure. Don't do it.
What, the Onk? You don't like the Onk?
I'd get a Vinnie Vincent. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he kind of had the wonkiest of all the face makeups, for sure. But yeah, we're actually working on Paul and Peter right now as well.
Awesome.
Very cool.
All right. So at Mr_collects_it. So Mr. I could have read that much easier. At Mr. Collects It asks.
Yeah, you read it like I did.
Have you thought about doing some kind of fan polling or utilizing like crowdfunding for characters that might be like larger or, to your point earlier, that take up maybe too much shelf space? This person suggests the Lord of the Rings Balrog.
That would be awesome, but it's like making toys and distributing toys is a giant. It's such a coordinated quagmire. So it's like, first of all, you have to go, what shelf can we put that on? Like, what retailer is going to go? Yeah, here's 3 feet for you, for 2 boxes. So in theory, yes. It's just it really is a collaborative. We hold decisions of like licenses we want to approach and how to manufacture toys and things like that. But there's a whole other decision making engine on the other side. That is it even doable? Is there room for something like this on shelf? But would I like to see one? Heck yeah. Does that mean we'll make it? I don't know, but yeah, I would be into it. What do you think, Kenneth? Same idea?
Yeah, I think some of the expansion that we're talking about with some of your other lines. There's potential for some of those bigger things, right? So I wouldn't say no, and I also think a lot of we're also seeing a lot of success online. Right. So on like a Walmart.com, we're starting to kind of bring people there to start looking for items like this. And there's no shelf space on Walmart.com. It's just if they can put it in a box and mail it to you. So it really is about what will people pay for it, because you can only make a certain amount. Right. Sure. So it's a really, I don't know. I love I'm a fan of like the people are fans of lots of things, and it would be amazing to bring these kind of things to them. It's just getting it right, making sure you make the right number so people are hunting for it, and it's not like we have, like I said, we don't need 50,000 of that. But it is, I don't know.
Well, I think too, there's something to be said for that. that crowdfunding model, right? Where, you have like I just got mine the other day. Dave got his a few weeks ago, but the Kickstarter Spawn figure, that was kind of really made to order, or a lot of like what Super 7's doing with like the Thunder Tank and some of those Ultimate figures that are, just kind of up for pre-order for an X amount of time, and then, however many get pre-ordered get made. So, I mean, I don't know if that's something that you guys have ever explored, an option like that with some of, a larger project. But I think that's what the person in this question was kind of tiptoeing around.
Yeah, we used to, in the very beginning of the Little Subjects, we used to do stuff like that when we were doing more of like the designer vinyl pieces, like the 8-inch pieces. So the pre-order is really an instrument. Can you get the MOQ, right? So you're like, okay, I'll leave it up for X. And then you really try to hustle to get those numbers to cover your tooling, your factory bills, and then, make a little scratch so you can buy your crew lattes. So that was kind of that instrument. So Brian Flynn and the Little Subjects came from very similar worlds, where we were, he had his sort of, Japanese inspired, a lot of designer toy ideas in San Francisco, and the Little Subjects was, just starting out and doing things with like Upper Playground and Alex Party and Sam Flores and things like that. And that was all pre-order basis, not necessarily like a crowdfund, but you go, okay, we got a month to sell something out so we can get enough units to pay for it, essentially.
Well, I think there is definitely, and this could be something we could explore from our end as well on the collection obsession side, is just like what you were talking about, like with the Hasbro Java's sail barge, right? Where it's like you have to, this many people have to order it, and then it can become reality. Right?
Yeah, yep, exactly.
I think there's definitely potential for something like that. Whether that hits shelves at Walmart, that's probably not going to happen. But if we get people to fall in love with these brands like Best Action or GPK, like the sky's kind of the limit, right? Like where we could do those kind of things. And I think that's why we set up collectionobsession.com like as a resource for those kind of things. It gives us an avenue to do that outside of just within the Walmart world, right?
So will you confirm that you're doing a life-size Andre the Giant garbage?
Yeah, maybe. Possibly.
It will be life-size to the card. It's perfect.
It's
well played.
It's only $1,500 per
Excellent.
and it comes in a crate. I guess to double on Kenneth's point, we did come from that world to begin with, and you can't say never, but I think as collectors, the way that collectors purchase products or how they behave around products or support products, that certainly is an option. And Balrog would be cool. I mean, now I'm just thinking about Balrog. He's like, yeah, dude, I want that in my Ace Frehley / Sauron Spike Spiegel band. I mean,
he's the drummer, right?
He's totally the drummer. Yeah.
Either that or he's just the hype man.
Totally. But when you do polls in like character by committee, I mean, you could get way into the ancillary characters. So, will we ever?
There's definitely a challenge there.
But, if it's a poll, we'll probably be making like the little ball with all the eyes from Big Trouble in Little China.
Yes,
which we might make now because that's actually a good idea.
Isn't that? I think that's loosely based off of like a D&D character too.
Yeah, it's basically a beholder, and I think we absolutely should make that. So,
dude, Kenneth, seriously, I'm totally serious. On like a little translucent pole that you can mount him, and comes with Lopan, it comes with Jack Burton.
I think,
as like an accessory, that would be hot.
We're in. We are in.
Yes,
that's totally doable. All right, so. Yeah. Okay. The long and short answer to Mr. Collected's question: yes, maybe yes.
I have the next one here. At Harry0904 asks, Are there any more Animator collectors packs coming?
Animated collectors pack. Oh, like the Fox animation? Probably.
I think that's what he was getting.
I think that's
Action vinyls is a little bit different. It's action vinyls are like one and done. I mean, they're so small run. It's insane. I mean, we're insane to have done them. I mean, we've bought so much tooling. We really kind of just do it to do one and dones. I wouldn't say never, but not. We don't have a plan right now to visit that. But yeah, I mean, if you have action vinyls, any run we've ever done is really small. So definitely try to hold on to some of those things.
So the last question for the Q&A here, and this was another one that was an amalgam of many people asking kind of sort of this question, but you've answered so far with Kiss that you guys are working on Peter and Paul, but is there any plans to complete any of the additional teams, like the Cowboy Bebop crew?
Yeah, we're actually working on additional characters right now, so that is definitely in the plans.
Awesome, and that
very cool.
So that concludes the Instagram Q&A. You guys did wonderful. It was great.
Sweet.
and now I'm gonna toss it back over to Dave. And we asked Jonathan, we asked you this question last time, but we haven't gotten a chance to ask Kenneth yet. Dave, hit Kenneth with the James Lipton.
The Lipton question? I have to prepare. No. Kenneth, what's the most interesting or weirdest piece in your collection? And it can be both.
Oh, I have a very... I collect a lot of things. I got to think.
5 hours later.
I have a few that I think kind of fit in that. So one of my favorite things that I have, I just haven't figured out exactly what to do with it yet, is I have, we've talked about Garbage Pail Kids a lot. I have about 10 uncut sheets from the printer of Series 3 of from the 80s. Like, they're amazing.
Wow.
We talked about I'm an artist. At one point, I was actually going to use them as something I put art on, and then I'm like, no, I just can't do it. So I have these.
Thank you for not doing
that. Yeah, you're welcome. So I love it. What's amazing is, since they're the uncut sheets, front side is the stickers, and then the back side is the puzzle, all solid. Because on the back side they have the puzzles that you put together, and I'm like, oh my god, it's just amazing. So that's one of my favorite things. One of my weirdest ones is, it was, I can't remember what company did it. It might have been Toy Biz, but they did a line of Marvel action figures with voice boxes. They came with little gray voice boxes, and they each had little buttons on it, and they spoke. I don't know if you remember that. I think it was Toy Biz. I can't remember. I probably could roll over and look at it. But so I have one from back then, but the battery is half melted inside the voice box, and it's Venom. So the three buttons would say, one said, "I want to eat your brains." One said, "Die, Spider-Man," and the other one said, "Ah." Right, like he does. So no matter which button you press on this one, it says, "I want to eat your Spider-Man," and it just.
Oh, Venom. That's funny.
Oh, that's great.
There's an odd piece and a favorite piece from my collection.
Kenneth, you nailed it. Nailed it.
Oh yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, that
okay, good. I'm glad I didn't fail that test.
Perfection. Gentlemen, before we let you go, where can we find you on the internet?
For the Loyal Subjects, so Facebook, The Loyal Subjects Co., Instagram, The Loyal Subjects, Twitter, Loyal Subjects. everybody beat us to the punch when we were doing all these things. So but we do a lot of Instagram and Facebook for the most part. And then you could go to our website, which is thelowsubjects.com. And you can also find us at walmart.com. Just search Best Action or GPK times WWE and alien eggs and things like that. And you'll find a bunch of cool products up there.
Yeah, alien Easter eggs.
Alien Easter eggs.
Yeah, and on our end, so we're on Instagram and Twitter under Collection Obsession Official is our tag, and then our website collectionobsession.com is where that's the first place to go to find anything that we're working on. And on the Instagram and the Twitter, we monitor it really closely. So we actually had a really fun thing happen recently with the alien eggs. We actually had someone DM us directly, and he was upset because he had shipped his alien eggs to the wrong address and he wasn't going to get it in time for Easter. And so we actually ended up sending him a set so he could have it in time. So we try to be really attentive and responsive on our feeds.
That's awesome, man.
That is awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, his response was amazeballs, which always makes me laugh.
That's good, man. That's good.
love a good amazeballs.
That's right. I was like, okay, cool. We got an amazeballs.
Well, guys, thank you so much again for joining us on Adventures and Collecting. We're gonna let you guys go back to the rest of your evenings, and we'll keep an eye out for the latest Loyal Subjects goodies at Walmart, and definitely keep an eye on our feed, because as you guys share stuff, we'll make sure that we're sharing it too. Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azzari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.